Imagine a cauldron bubbling with oil, its heat radiating outward like the devil's own breath. This was no ordinary cooking fire. This inferno was intended to inflict pain, to punish, to silence a man named John. John, an apostle of Jesus Christ, stood accused, his crime, preaching the gospel, his punishment, death by boiling oil. The Roman soldiers, hardened by years of cruelty, sneered at John. They had seen it all, yet something about this man's quiet dignity unnerved them. Could he not smell the burning oil, feel the heat licking at his skin? Did he not understand what awaited him? John did understand. He understood the cost of discipleship. He understood the depth of hatred directed at those who dared to follow Jesus. But above it all, John understood the unwavering love of his Savior. And in that love, he found his courage. John, often referred to as the disciple whom Jesus loved, was no stranger to hardship. His journey was marked by trials and tribulations that tested his faith and resilience. He had walked with Jesus, witnessed his miracles, and felt the sting of his betrayal. Each moment spent with Jesus was a lesson in love, sacrifice, and the true meaning of discipleship. He had seen the love of God in its purest form, and the ugliness of sin in its darkest. These experiences shaped his understanding of the divine and the human condition. John's life was a testament to the transformative power of faith. His unwavering belief in Jesus' teachings transformed him from an ordinary man into an extraordinary apostle. From a simple fisherman, he became a pillar of the early church, guiding and nurturing the fledgling Christian community with wisdom and compassion. Penning the Gospel of John, 3 epistles, and the Book of Revelation. His writings are a cornerstone of Christian theology, offering deep insights into the nature of Christ and the essence of love. His writings, filled with profound theological insights and passionate pleas for love and unity, continue to inspire and challenge believers centuries later. They are a testament to his enduring legacy. But it was in the face of persecution that John's faith truly shone. His steadfastness in the face of adversity became a beacon of hope for early Christians. His ordeal in the boiling oil stands as a powerful symbol of the unwavering spirit of a man who refused to be silenced, a testament to his unbreakable faith and courage. A man who clung to his faith even when staring death in the face. John's story is a powerful reminder of the strength that comes from unwavering faith and the transformative power of love and belief. John's life was a tapestry woven with threads of both joy and sorrow, each moment adding depth and color to his journey. He experienced the exhilaration of witnessing the lame walk and the blind see, miracles that affirmed his faith and strengthened his resolve. He felt the overwhelming grief of watching his friend and Savior die on a cross, a moment that tested his faith to its core. Through it all, his faith remained a constant, a guiding light in the darkest of times, guiding him through the storms of life and providing hope when all seemed lost. It anchored him in the midst of uncertainty, giving him the strength to persevere. From the serene shores of Galilee, where he first heard the call, to the bustling streets of Ephesus, where he spread the message of love and redemption, John boldly proclaimed the good news of Jesus Christ, never wavering in his mission. He refused to be intimidated by threats or swayed by promises of comfort and security, standing firm in his convictions. He knew the truth, and he was willing to suffer for it, understanding that true faith often comes with a cost. John's life reminds us that faith is not a passive acceptance of dogma, but an active engagement with the living God, a dynamic relationship that requires trust and action. It is a journey of trust, obedience, and unwavering commitment, a path that demands courage and resilience, even when the path ahead seems dark and treacherous, for it is in those moments that faith shines the brightest. The soldiers lowered John into the cauldron. The air crackled with heat, and the stench of burning oil filled the air. The crowd gasped, some turning away in horror, others unable to tear their eyes away from the gruesome spectacle. Yet amidst the chaos and terror, John remained calm. His eyes were closed, his lips moving in silent prayer. He knew that the God who had calmed the storm and raised the dead was with him now, in the heart of the fire. The soldiers watched in astonishment. The flames danced around John, but he seemed untouched. Their mockery died in their throats, replaced by a growing sense of unease. What kind of man was this who could face such torment with such serenity? Minutes stretched into an eternity. The fire continued to rage, but John remained unharmed. The soldiers, their faces pale with fear and confusion, finally hauled him out of the cauldron. To their amazement, his skin was unmarked, his clothes untouched by the flames. The crowd erupted, a mixture of fear, awe, and confusion swirling amongst them. Some cried out in terror, convinced they had witnessed sorcery. Others, their hearts stirred by the undeniable power of God, fell to their knees, proclaiming their newfound faith in the God who could deliver from such a fate. John, shaken but alive, stood as a testament to the power of faith. He had faced death and emerged victorious, not by his own strength but by the grace of God. Though centuries have passed, the story of John and the boiling oil continues to resonate. It serves as a powerful reminder that the Christian faith has always been a faith under fire, tested and refined in the crucible of persecution. From the early Christians facing persecution in the Roman Empire to believers in countries where faith is outlawed today, the story of God's people is often marked by suffering and sacrifice. Yet, even in the darkest corners of the world, where faith is costly and discipleship dangerous, the light of Christ continues to shine. John's story reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles. Throughout history, believers have faced imprisonment, torture, and death for their faith. Their courage serves as a beacon, reminding us that God's grace is sufficient for any trial, and His love is stronger than any hardship. Persecution wears many faces. It can be as blatant as imprisonment for one's beliefs, or as subtle as ridicule and discrimination. It can manifest in physical violence, or in the insidious whispers of doubt and fear. In a world increasingly hostile to Christian values, believers often find themselves swimming against the tide, their beliefs challenged, their values mocked. The temptation to remain silent, to blend in, to avoid confrontation can be overwhelming. Yet the story of John reminds us that silence is not an option when the truth is at stake. We are called to be salt and light in a world shrouded in darkness, to stand firm in our convictions, even when it costs us something. Section 8. Finding strength in weakness. John was not a superhero, he was a man, flesh and blood, capable of fear and doubt. Yet, when faced with unimaginable terror, he found strength in his weakness, clinging to the God who was stronger than any adversary. In our own moments of weakness, we can draw strength from John's example. We can find solace in knowing that we serve a God who is intimately acquainted with our pain, who understands our fears, and who promises to never leave us, nor forsake us. God's power is often most evident in our weakness. It is when we acknowledge our limitations and surrender to His will that we experience the fullness of His grace and the depth of His love. Section 9. A legacy of unwavering faith. John's legacy is not found in his miraculous escape from death, but in his unwavering faith. He lived a life surrendered to God, a life marked by courage, compassion, and an unshakable belief in the power of the gospel. His story challenges us to examine our own lives. Are we willing to stand up for what we believe, even when it's unpopular? Are we willing to risk discomfort, ridicule, or even persecution for the sake of the gospel? The world needs courageous Christians, men and women who are willing to live out their faith boldly and authentically, who are not afraid to swim against the tide and proclaim the truth in love. Section 10. Embracing the fire. The fire that was meant to silence John only served to amplify his message. His ordeal became a testament to the power of God, drawing many to faith. In a similar way, the trials we face can refine our faith and make us more effective witnesses for Christ. When we embrace the fires of persecution, when we choose faith over fear, we become living examples of God's grace and power. Our lives become testimonies to the truth of the gospel, attracting others to the light of Christ. The challenges we face are not meant to destroy us, but to refine us, to draw us closer to God, and to equip us to be more effective ambassadors for His kingdom. Section 11. The promise of God's grace. John's story reminds us that we are not promised a life free from hardship. In fact, Jesus Himself told His followers, "In this world you will have trouble, but in the midst of our trials, we have a promise. God's grace is sufficient." This grace is not just a fleeting moment of relief, but a constant, unwavering presence that guides us through every storm and every challenge we face. No matter what fires we face, no matter how intense the heat, we can rest assured that God is with us. He will never leave us nor forsake us. He will give us the strength to endure, the wisdom to navigate, and the courage to overcome. His presence is like a shield, protecting us from the worst of the flames, and his love is like a balm, soothing our deepest wounds. The story of John and the boiling oil is not just a story of miraculous deliverance. It is a testament to the power of faith and the boundless grace of God. It is a story of unwavering faith, a faith that found its strength in the God who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine. It is a story that continues to echo through the ages, inspiring us to live lives of courage, conviction, and unshakable trust in the God who holds us in the palm of his hand. This narrative serves as a beacon of hope, reminding us that no matter how dire our circumstances may seem, God's grace is always sufficient, always present, and always powerful.